Oh boy, the last chapter of One Piece, chapter 1174, called The Strongest Being in the World of One Piece. Oh my goodness. Hear me out, we've got a lot of information, so hang on tight until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe also. And let's go! From the very get-go of this chapter, we are back to what Saint Summers has been doing from the previous chapter. Remember, one of the fake devil Nika's basically attacked or got thrown into the ship that was supposed to grab all of the kids and take them to Marijwa, but now that ship is completely destroyed, and the sea cloud that it was on top of basically got destroyed as well. And since that happened, Saint Summers is freaking out. He's like, "Oh no, I messed up. It's my fault." And now he's starting to think, what can I do? What should I do? And he's like, okay, I gotta call Gunko to let Gunko know to let go of her power a little bit. The arrow that's basically transporting all of the kids towards the ship. Well, he is basically thinking, oh, if I tell Gonko to take off her power or whatever, it should be fine, and we can get maybe another ship or something, and the mission should be fine. But that's not the case. At the same time that he calls Gunko, Gunko is like, yeah, no, I can't do it right now because she's still possessed by the Great One, and Summers is like, hold on. If Gunko is possessed by the Great One, and the Great One is now in control of those arrows, and if those kids go to die because of that arrow, then it's the Great One's fault, not Saint Summer's fault. And at the same time, you also see some of the other giant parents and trying to stop the arrow, trying to still stop their kids from going towards the ship and everything, or like literally going towards their death basically. And they are trying everything, but on the same side, Saint Summers, you get to see what's happening in his head. And what's happening in his head is very twisted. Saint Summers is one of the most twisted characters of One Piece, and that's because he's a devil. I'm sorry, I said what I said. But from that scene, he's literally thinking of, hold on, if I let this scene play the way it is, that means that the kids are gonna go to their death, and he's loving it. He's like, yes, that's gonna be the greatest thing. And if their parents come and help them to kind of not fall from it, it would be great also for the parents to die as well. And that's what you see Saint Summers' perviness basically towards reluctant emotions, just like love and stuff like that. So that's why I'm saying Saint Summers is one of the most devilish character of One Piece ever, and his death is gonna be very joyful when it's gonna happen, because Eiichiro Oda is probably already building him up to die at some point. One of the most crucial deaths ever, because basically he is getting a thrill out of everything that's happening, and he couldn't be happier. And that's when Summers also turns around and he basically tells the kids and the parents and the giants and everything, he tells them, look, our plan was to take your kids and put them in the ship and take them to Marijwa, but now we've got complications, and instead your kids are just gonna walk off the cliff of the edge of the place where they are, the branch, and they're gonna fall to their death. In other words, you'll be dying from the fall, which means a tragically hilarious, miserable end awaits you at the finish line. So literally, even by creating a whole word of hilarious and miserable at the same time, that he kind of compacts it in the same, God damn, Saint Summers is literally a devil that needs to be extinguished from the world. And we also get a scene of Oimo that's actually coming to help his grandson that's in the line with the other kids and everything, and he's trying to hold him like this, but since he's holding him and the thorns are getting into his hands, the thorns are also getting into the kid as well, because of the pressure. And from this, even the kid is like, stop, grandpa, stop, it's hurting me and everything. And from the hurt, literally Oimo comes back and he's like, yeah, damn it, like there's nothing we can do. What else should we do? And at that same time, all of the other giants are literally just watching the kids, and they're like, is there nothing that we can do to actually save them? And from my bet, there was a strategy that worked a little bit ago, and basically it was about throwing a rope towards one of the kids or something, and literally the kids have to get themselves in the rope, and basically you have to snitch them out from that line and stuff like that. So maybe that's a strategy that might still work. But the fact that it's not even tried or used or whatever, this is a very serious situation, and I don't think that all the Giants have the time or the proper time to actually think of a good strategy at that point. And at that point, that's where you see also a shot of the kids, and the kids are talking in between each other. They're like, I should have been a better kid, I should have not done this. And they're now thinking that because of their misbehaviors, or because they were not good kids and all of that, that's because they literally deserve to die. And that's, I'm sorry, but that's not the case. Like especially as a kid, you ask yourself already those questions and everything. I'm sorry, kids, it's not your fault, you know? Like, it's not because you just didn't eat your carrots and stuff like that that you literally deserve to die. But that's their mental head state right now, you know? And also, that's the point where we get a flashback of how the kids were bad back in the day, you know? So, for example, you see Colin with his mom, and Colin is showing a robot, and he's like, yeah, I just want it and everything because I'm strong or whatever. And that's when his mom is like, no, you shouldn't do that. Go take that back to your friend or something, because the fact that you're stronger than your friends does not mean you can do whatever you want with them too, you know? And at that same time, that little robot that Colin was showing to his mom is very weird, because it reminds me a lot of another robot that we met not too long ago, and it's actually Emmett. And basically, from what I understood, Emmett must be a figurine or a some type of robot that's been in Elbaf culture for ages, to the point where now they even have plush toys of it and stuff like that. So the fact that Colin has one of them like that, I don't know where they're getting made, because I'm probably guessing that those dolls or whatever are pretty much bigger than what you expect, because it's Colin, and Colin is already, you know, big. So I don't know who might have constructed or made those toys or whatever, but it's probably made in Elbaf. Or I heard another theory that said that it's actually the ex-king of Drum Island that made them, due to his devil fruit and the metal that he's actually able to make from his body. So that's a theory right there. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about that theory? And now moving on from Colin, you move on to some of the other kids, and the other kids are also going through their flashbacks here and there of what they could have done wrong in the past. And every kid is like, oh no, I should have ate my carrots. Oh, I don't like your cooking. Oh, I don't like you. Or I'm scared of my mom because she's the strongest creature in the world. So basically, all the kids had something to justify their bad behaviors in a way, and pretend that that cause is basically why now they literally have to die. And I'm sorry, but that's so wrong on so many levels, you know? But at the end, as you get Colin that's screaming, no, I don't want to die and everything, boom, who shows up in front of Colin? And I'll remind you that Colin is basically in the front line of that row of kids, and he's basically the first one that will fall to his death, basically. But in that front line, or right in front of him, who do you see appear? You see his mom. And his mom appears, and she sees her son literally crying for help, and the fact that he knows he's about to die. And the only thing she says and does is basically, she tells him, I'm sorry, I couldn't stop you. But Colin is like, but mommy, you're gonna die too. And she's like, yes, but at least we'll die together. You will not die alone. And from that same scene, you can see Colin hugging his mom, but from the hug that he gets from his mom, basically all the thorns are literally getting through her, and the arrow power is still there. So that's when at the same time they also fall to their death. And to the kids that were behind Colin, all of the rest of the kids, all of their parents or even brother, Bjorn, his brother, actually showed up, and he didn't even care of dying to protect his little brother, you know? And all of the rest of the parents did the same. They went and they literally went to stop their kids to try and protect them, but then they all literally fell out of that cliff. protecting their kids in a way. And if they have to die because they were protecting their kids, well, that's how it's gonna be, you know. And even the last one in the line, her name is Johanna, and Johanna says something very important, because you understand that Johanna does not have a parent, does not have no parents. She said that basically, oh, it's good for you that you guys have your parents to think of, but I don't have no one. But that's at that moment that it truly hits, when Angie shows up. Ange is basically their tutor or whatever, and she's the librarian, and she's there for Johanna at the end, and she knew it, and that's why we've been seeing Ange, and we've been tracking her go in Elbaf throughout the chapters basically. And now to tell you that's what she was planning, basically, on going and helping her, because she knew that she didn't have no parents and she couldn't count on no one. Well, Ange showed up, the teacher showed up, and was there to protect Johanna at the end. And after all of that, Saint Summers is like, look at those pieces of trash are all about to fall off the cliff. My heart's pounding. What a thrilling story. If you just let them all die, it would have been only 10 brats. These parents are such idiots, dying for their children out of love. My stomach hurts from laughing. Now that's what I call a beautiful and utterly pointless death. So you can understand that the Devil of Summers does not feel the emotion of love, does not know of it, and he looks at love as a weakness. So if you love something, that's a weakness for you. And all that counts for Summers is to be strong and ruthless, basically, to the point where survival is the only thing you are looking into. Epic moment of the chapter, because we are getting into the end of the chapter right now. But you discover that all of the kids with all of the parents and all of their guardians and everything have not died, and they literally fell on top of something, and they're like, what the hell, what's going on, what is this? And as they're looking up, we can hear Luffy, and Luffy is actually a platform right now that's helping out all of the giants fall from, the cliff that they were, so that they don't hurt themselves and everything. But Luffy is on top of something, and Luffy is already in his gear 5th Nika and all of that, and he's big, and he's super big, because even when compared to the other giants are tiny. So Luffy is already in giant mode. But on top of that giant mode, Luffy is on top of something, and that something he's telling Luffy, hey, when we get up there, can you please get off, because I need to fight, properly, and you are literally bugging me over there on top of my on top of my back or something. And that's where you see epic moment. The environment, the weather starts to change. The snow starts to fall. Thunder starts to happen everywhere around Elbaf. And that's where even Summers and Imo are like, what is that? And what is that was, just like Yarul said it, on a strange day of snow, lightning, and thunder, the sky shall be covered by a colossal beast, and along with the drums of liberation, the sun god shall appear. And oh my goodness, next scene, final page of the chapter, we get the dragon, one of the biggest dragons of One Piece, and literally probably not just bigger than Kaido, he could even play with Kaido just like, or something like that. But Loki's devil fruit power, we don't have his proper name of the devil fruit power that he's got, but we can see that he's a dragon, and he's a beast of a dragon. He's one of those dragons that look like medieval dragons. For example, if you ever watched Game of Thrones, some of those dragons, that were in Game of Thrones, that's the same kind of vibe of dragon that I get from this dragon that Loki is nowadays. And on top of Loki, on top of, the dragon that he is, literally you can already see that he is so freaking big and so freaking powerful and all of that. You understand, from the title of the chapter, it was saying the strongest being in One Piece. He might be. Because literally he is not even the size of Kaido. He's not even the size of a mountain. He's probably even the size of half of Zunisha or something like that. He is giant. And on top of it, you see the tiny, tiny Luffy, Nika mode and everything. But from this, you finally get the prophecy that Yarrow is talking about, meaning in this environment, the sun god shall appear and everything, and poof, that's what we get. So maybe the prophecy is somewhere on Elbaf that Yarrow read back in the day or something, but that actually came true. And now we are set. And now we literally set the stage for the next chapters to start the fighting with Imu, with Summers, with Killingham and everybody. So on that note, guys, let me know down in the comments below how did you feel about this chapter. Let me know and let's talk about it. And on that note, you boys gonna see you in the next one. Peace.